you know why I always talk about the stock market some kind of as being a fashion show? Because as much as we may want to believe that this business is all about numbers, at the end of the day, a lot of the action comes down to which groups are in or out of style. Take the utilities, the ultimate slow and steady safety stocks, which have lost some of their shine now that investors are less worried about the economy because Jay Powell's not trying to crush it. For example, American Electric Power, the Midwestern utility that owns the largest power distribution network in America, along with a bunch of power generation assets, reported a very good quarter last week. AP is one of the best-run utilities out there. I've always been recommended. It's got a bountiful 3.5% dividend yield, and the company just delivered some terrific numbers. Yet the stock barely budged on the news, and it's only up a little more than 3% year-to-date. Right now, the company's not getting enough credit for its fundamentals because the group is out of style. That could change, though. So let's take a closer look with Nick Akins, the chairman, president, and CEO of American Electric Power, get a better sense of how his company's doing and where it is headed. Mr. Akins, welcome back to Mad Money.
Good to be with you, Jim.
Okay, so, Nick, let's just call it as we see it. You had a great quarter, and a lot of it has to be that your area of the country may have picked up or gotten a lot stronger because these kinds of numbers need to be celebrated. What are you doing to put up such strong figures?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. We had a strong weather year, obviously, last year, but also for the quarter, we continue to see increases in load. Last year, we had the largest increase in energy demand since 2011. So certainly the economy continues to buzz along, albeit it was stronger at the first part of the year than the latter part of the year, but still it's continuing at a relatively tempered pace.
All right, I'm so glad you mentioned that because, you know, Jay Powell was on. A lot of people feeling Jay Powell's been hypocritical as a Fed chief. He said that, you know what, we're going to tighten, we're going to tighten, we're going to tighten. And then he said, wait a second, maybe we don't have to. Maybe patience is warranted. I think, and I was very critical of him by saying he should have done more homework. Speaking to people like you, where you did see a deceleration, maybe people thought that would be the end of the cycle. I feel very buoyant by what he said because I think that maybe you're getting a new lease on life.
Yeah, I think there continues to be advancement of the economy. Obviously, tariff impacts are having an issue in play here, along with the world energy economy and certainly the strong dollar. But there are portions of the economy that continues very strongly. And when you look at unemployment in our territory, it's the lowest it's ever been. So you're continuing to see job creation. You're continuing to see the advancement of the economy in many ways. And I think it's tempered because of these other items that are going to clarify as we go forward.
All right, that's good news. I wanted to ask you, what do you... Look, the weather's in the news. You've got areas all over the country. You've probably got some polar vortex going. Could you please explain to people how variable weather can actually be good for American Electric Power?
Yeah, so typically in this kind of weather where it's extremely cold, if you don't have wet snow or that kind of issue associated with the weather itself, we'll do very well because obviously the meters are turning, the consumption is there. And certainly with the variability of load, we always pattern it during the year. We compensate based upon what the weather patterns look like. Our operations change based upon weather patterns. And certainly we're in complete winter operations right now. And actually no one's even doing any maintenance or anything like that at this point because obviously the system's ready to go and we want to make sure it performs very well for our customers.
And I think it's important to point out that AEP has a fantastic historical record on these kinds of events. You're just a very well-run utility. I've been thinking a lot about it. I've got to ask you about this thing. I see a lot of electric cars on the road now. I see Tesla putting up some pretty good numbers. At what point do their supercharging stations influence what American Electric Power has to do in terms of new, let's say, new power put on? Because this is a big and growing trend.
Yes, it obviously represents channel growth for us. In terms of sales to our consumers. And certainly we're in the process of working with our regulators to put in charging stations of various types, DC fast chargers, level 2 chargers, to really make sure that the economy continues to not have that range anxiety associated with some of the electric vehicles. But electric vehicles just passed 1 million units for the year, 1 million electric vehicles on the road. And we anticipate by 2025, there'll be over 18 million. So, and you got 20 different models coming out. So we really believe that it's going to continue to advance, and we plan on being part of that along with the storage aspects of it.
All right, but how about the flip side? Are there major companies that are opting out of the system or actually wanting to throw power back to you because of solar power? I mean, Walmart's been very committed to this, and I wonder whether this is something that you have to worry about, that people will go off the grid other than demanding that you take their power.
Yeah, Jim, certainly we have to look at that because, but our business is becoming more of an optimization business around the infrastructure and our ability for customers to use these various technologies, and that's why we look at the channel growth opportunities of electric vehicles, of energy storage, other types of analysis we can do relative to the grid itself to not only optimize, drive efficiencies, but also enable these other activities to occur. So we don't have a real issue with certainly customers utilizing their own supply, but certainly we want to make sure it's integrated very well with the grid and contributes to the overall resiliency and reliability of the grid as well. And in fact, we have large customers like the Amazons, Googles, and so forth that insist on us providing 100% renewables, for example, and we're there to deliver that.
All right, one last question, Nick. There's a great feel-good story that doesn't get told. I like to tell these stories. America has largely switched to these light bulbs that don't use nearly as much energy. Have you seen the positive, accumulated nature of that switch to these better, more efficient light bulbs?
Yeah, we certainly see it in the commercial side of things because if you look at our analysis of the different types of load we have, industrial continues to go up, residential has gone up, commercial is coming down. And I think that's part of the tempering aspects of energy efficiency, which is a good thing, obviously, because we can further optimize the grid itself. But on the other hand, certainly we see consumption go down in some areas, but it's tempered the regular load growth that we see. But that's fine as long as we're not having to spend large capital on large central station generation facilities and are able to optimize into these new technologies and the distributed sources that are available today.
Well, terrific. Congratulations on another good quarter. Congratulations on your dividends that you keep returning. And, you know, I recommend your stock every time someone says need a utility because I like companies that are well-run, and yours is well-run. That's Nick Akins, Chairman, President, CEO of AEP. You got to stick with that situation. It's a solid one. Stay with Cramer. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.